The internet must have went out or something. I don't know what's going on here. But they can hear me also.
The following is a special presentation.
From the Captain eSports Network.
This isn't just a game. This is iRacing.
for a pretty sporty round number one of the NCAA11.org playoff final series of 10 drivers racing for a championship. Tonight it's race number 2 as we see a monster in the middle of November. It is Dover Motor Speedway, virtually on iRacing. It is race number 2 of the final round of 5 to crown the Sim500 NCAA11.org Cup Series champion. I am the captain with you. Hopefully you're having a great Monday night as always. And always by my side is my favorite sidekick, Kevin England. Fresh off of a boxing match Friday night, he was telling me. But we welcome you in, buddy. Welcome in as we got our own little boxing match here tonight. We got 30-plus drivers against a monster.
Yeah, my thought is Miles is looking to knock somebody out. I honestly thought that was entertaining. I don't know. I'm apparently the only one, but there were thousands of people in that arena, and there are thousands of people in the stands here tonight to watch these guys dig. And in this place, you need to know what's below. You drop down several stories to the bottom of the racetrack, and I think that tells the story we're going to see here tonight, Chris, because there's a guy who loves the bottom. He won here in April, and he is dominant when we come to bottom dominant racetracks. And this racetrack's going to be a handful for these guys tonight. I hear a lot of drivers talking about push. The car is just not turning in the corners.
It is going to be a wild one tonight, and the driver you're speaking of is a guy named Kevin that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. The points leader, Kevin King, as we go into qualifying right now. A little bit of a abbreviated pre-race show. Unfortunately, it was about 5 minutes left in practice, and the server decided to remove me from it, so I had to do some quick repairing and get back into the server. So here we are, ready to go, and let's show you qualifying, which is presented by our friends at 811. Know what's below and call before you dig. Now this track, Kev, this could be a little bit tricky because you can bottom this track, or you can run this track to where you pretty much can diamond the corner and try to carry as much speed as you can. But I think your fastest lap around here will probably be lap 2, because I'm hearing a lot of people complaining about loose off in the corners, especially on old tires, or cold tires.
Yeah, loose off on throttle, especially if you hammer the throttle, which you're trying to do under these conditions where you're trying to put yourself on the pole. Coming up off the corner, especially at the bottom, the car will step out on you, but a lot of drivers like Stony Benfield, for example, will ride up in the middle of the corner and then turn down and lengthen the straightaway and put a little less load on the right side, but still you can see the car will step out for you. And one of the things we see on the racetrack here, Chris, it's taking rubber quite extensively here tonight.
It sure is, and we saw 5 different pole sitters already here in the last couple of minutes. Stony Benfield held it, and Bentley Glazier took it back. Nelson Rivera now at the top as Wesley Donaldson goes up there with a 23.60 track record. But earlier this season, the pole award was a 23.1. We probably are not going to hit that, as it seems like the track's just a little bit slower than it was back in the spring race here. But as Mike Kelly goes to the pole, 23.58, a pretty fast lap for the 2 car. He loves this track.
Yeah, Dalton goes to 3rd, so we're not going to see Dalton there. It's Pedro. He pops one in here.
Vote for the Pedro. He goes to the top.
I don't think we've seen one this season where the pole position, provisional pole, has changed so much during the course of qualifying.
23.17. That is actually the that was this season we're looking at here. I was going to say the track record, but let me get the right stuff here, and I'll show you. The track record actually here at Dover is, that's still 2024. Can we update this, please? Well, once I get it for you, I'll tell you. But right now, Mojica, 23.56. He is the pole sitter.
Yeah, I have a couple of fast cars out there right now. One of them being Kevin King, the RevGrips.com. Looks like he throws away the first lap, but we'll see what kind of time he puts in.
Yes, Mark Jorgensen jumps up there, 23.55. Fuller, 23.53. Now you're starting to see the cream rise to the top here in qualifying.
King's first lap 16. He comes up out of turn 4 right now to cross the stripe. We'll see if he can pull away for Fuller,
Yes, sir.
and he does. 23.477 on the provisional pole.
47, a 53, a 55, a 56, a 57, a 58. That's your top 6, all within a tenth of a second of each other. But a great lap by Kevin King, but still plenty of qualifiers out there to go. Here's Seth Fowney in the 11 car. He's been pretty sporty here these last few weeks. Looking to end his season with a positive
turn
note.
4.
Yeah, good look.
Yeah, he's going to be 19th quick.
Car looked good, but sometimes when a car looks good, it means it's slow. That's a problem there.
Yeah, just not picking up the throttle as quickly as you'd hope to try and pull the speed. You really have to be on edge to get a pole here.
So who else we got? Charles Van Schaik out on track. Of course, Charles with the win in Michigan. He's off the pace here as he's coming to the start-finish line. This might actually be... I think he's actually going to be done. He's already got a reported time here, so he's going to run a second lap. And that's pretty much going to do it, it looks like, here in qualifying. So a 23.48 second lap from Kevin King is going to win the pole award here tonight, presented by 811. Know it's below and call before you dig. And Mr. King, I believe that is pole number 18 or 19. I'll get you the number here in a second. I'm actually putting stats together right now for this race, as I thought I had them set up, but I don't. But either way, one thing I do have for you is the point standings here. We're going to take a look at that. As you will see, Kevin King leads the points, but it's not by much. And what I mean by much is one whopping point over Justin Fuller. Kevin DeBrown, 4 points back in third. Justin Mons, fourth, 5 points back. Van Schaik, 8 points back. Wesley Donaldson, 9 points back. It is a very, very tight battle up there at the top, Kev.
Yeah, we were surprised last week to see how tight it was going to be coming into Dover. And this is probably the most unusual track in the playoffs, I think, Chris. There's a lot of drivers will look at this racetrack, and one, you're so tight and on top of each other coming up off the corner that if somebody makes a mistake, maybe pushes, since we were talking about how the car doesn't want to exit the corner very well, catches the outside wall. If they bounce off that outside wall and the field is coming, there could be a pretty big melee, and we could take out a lot of contenders here tonight. And I think drivers have a mind for that, but they also know that they have to hustle. My curiosity, and we have to do the over-under, how many cautions will we see tonight?
Well, we saw 10 in the spring race here, and as a matter of fact, I've got the numbers here for you. We had 10 in the spring race of this year, which was on April 29th. In May of last year, we had 7. In May of the year before, we had 12. Then we had 3, 7, 5, 4, 4, 7, 6, 5. So basically, this past April was the first race we had more than 10 cautions in a 160 lap race. Now, a couple times we've actually ran 200 laps here at this track, and the laps have varied back and forth. So I think it's hit or miss right now. I really think if they can get through the first couple laps of a run, I really think this race could go green. But I would not be surprised to see at least, I'll give an over-under to 3, make that 4 cautions, I'll call it. But I don't think we're going to see the 10
I'm going
again.
to say 5. 5 at minimum is my guess. And, looking at fuel window of 79 laps, I feel like there will be a caution, and it's not going to be a fuel mileage race. If we do have long runs, like you're predicting, when you get in the conveyor belt, even with worn tires, you can kind of settle in. You don't drop off a ton of speed, or said differently, with worn tires, your car's still pretty comfortable. We just have to see how these drivers do when they're right on top of each other in a late restart, elbows up. That is going to be the storyline here tonight.
Well, the one question we do have to ask in the end here is going to be, will the tires last all of 80 laps on a run? Because if you can get to lap 80, it's a one-stop race the whole entire way. So I think that's going to play a role here in how you want to run your strategy here. Do you make it a 2-stop race? Do you do a one-stopper? Obviously, cautions are going to make a role. And, oh, by the way, it's the toughest pit road to get onto in all of racing. arguably with
God.
Darlington. And you're going to lose likely 2 laps on pit road. So you can play roulette all you want to and figure it out. So, but that's going to be probably the big storyline, is who can preserve the tires on their car. So, all right, we're going to go trackside here in just a moment for the starting lineup. But first, I see the flag is unfurled down there by the start-finish line. So let's go trackside for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
As you look at the monster, the checkered flag waving on the warm-up session. As we go trackside now for the starting lineup here. Pretty good grid of cars here, 32 strong, ready to go for 160 laps around this 1 mile oval. As Kevin King on the pole, Justin Fuller second in points by 1 second on the grid, right behind Kevin. We'll start there in second. Mark Jorgensen Jr. in the third position. Pedro Mojica back for a second straight race. He'll start there in the fourth position. Jason Karlamaj, who's been pretty fast most of the season here. He's there in that fifth position. Mike Kelly won a Xfinity race here earlier this season at Dover, so he knows how to get around here. Wesley Donaldson, Tyler Dalton. Something tells me he's going to be upgrading some things here in the near future. Look out now. Anthony Calantoni and Justin Mons there in row 5. Calantoni made a prediction before the race. He said to me, you're going to see something tonight you maybe never have seen before. And I said, Wesley, you mean a pole for Calantoni? No, that didn't happen. But either way, we'll see something new, he says tonight. Jim Hudson, Kevin Brown in row 6 here. Row number 7, Chad Coleman, David Comstock, Nelson Rivera, Bentley Glazier there, row 8. Scott Simley and Kevin Stone, Seth Fowley, Stoney Benfield, Montesi and Doy Woods. As we look at the rest of the field, Charles Van Schaik, E.J. O'Rourke, Patrick Colby, Josh Parker, who will start in the back, Jimmy Coleman. Welcome back to Mr. Coleman there. Randy Oakham, Doug Sigmund, Ryan Wortman, Mark Schrader, Gerald Livingston will make up the 32 cars that'll start. 160 laps. As the field trying to catch up here, is already going down the back straightaway. 3 sets of tires and usual iRacing default weathers. We get ready to go green. Track temp sitting at 118 degrees right now. That's pretty balmy here. And of course, we know concrete surfaces are pretty temperature sensitive. As Kevin England, we bring you in, my man, to bring them to the green here at Dover.
Arguably the 2 strongest cars all season, King and Fuller, are going to lead us down to the green with Jorgensen, who's been a perennial front row starter this season. And last year's champion, Pedro Mojica, in fourth. Green is out. Good run for Fuller on the high side. He's going to drop down to that middle lane, trying to clear King, as Pedro's going to come in there side by side, tight off of turn 2, and it's going to be Fuller leading him back to the green.
I'm very curious to see if Fuller got a flag for that. We'll have to watch as the start of the race here as they come by to complete lap 1. Justin Fuller will lead it. But either way, our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. They're online on Facebook and the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. Again, I'm not sure how iRacing draws this up. I know in real life in racing, the leader has to be the one that crosses the line first on the start of the race. I don't know if iRacing has that in there or not, but Fuller with a really good start, and he hasn't come to pit road yet, so he must be good and clean as they come off turn 4, and Fuller with a pretty good sizable lead. But right here is the race has already started pretty much, that second race, if you will, Kev, because now we're at that point where you gotta back off because that right front tire is going to sweat a lot at this track.
Yeah, I would expect to see what we see all the way through. It is
Oh.
single file.
Not back here. In the back. I looked up and Stony Benfield was in the middle of 3 wide.
Yeah, the weird thing about being back here is cars will jam upon each other coming into the corner, and somebody's going to run high to keep from running somebody over. You have different braking points, especially as this field stacks up back behind. I think as we look at the way they run right now, first contest for position, Justin Mons up against the outside wall as he's got the 93 of Kevin DeBrown moving underneath of him for position, and Kevin's going to take that position, give him the 8th position.
Now you're going to see the cars move up through the corners, but I don't know if they're going that high throughout these corners. But you will see this track lay down the rubber on the concrete here. And the difference between asphalt and concrete is asphalt has the pores in the track that allows the tire rubber to go into the track. The concrete, it's like putting whatever on a hamburger, except the rubber is the topping and the hamburger is the concrete. It just lays on it.
Yeah, you could visibly see the black tire rubber on the track from practice. And when you're at the actual track here at Dover, when they ride around under caution, they pick it all up.
Right.
Track gets clean. And then within 2 or 3 laps, it lays back down. And there's always a constant sheen of rubber in the corners as the cars drop off the really steep straightaway, probably the steepest in the series, down to the bottom of the banking. Everybody right now is kind of running right along the what would be a yellow line. There isn't one here, and just coasting along through the center of the corner. I don't know. We heard drivers talking about changing the steering ratio, changing the brake bias, whether they were going to shift or not. All kinds of different impressions to try and find speed here at the Monster Mile.
Yeah, this track is just, there's so many tricks to it. You mentioned the diving into the corner. There's not many tracks you dive down into a corner, but when you think about it, you have a straightaway here that is banked the same as tracks like New Hampshire. As a couple cars glancing off the wall there in turn 2. The banking here on the straightaway sits at 9 degrees. So that's pretty steep. I mean, for a straightaway, and then you dive into a corner that is 24 degrees. So as they say, it's about a 2-story drop from the top of the track down to the bottom part here. And you hear that term landing brought up a lot at this track, and it's because as the car goes in, it compresses. So they call that part of the I guess when you're racing, landing in the corner as the car compresses down, and that's where there's no telling sometimes when the car lands what it's going to do, if it's going to get loose, if it's going to slide up the track. It's one of the many little characteristics that make it just so cool to run.
Yeah, the track has a lot of character. There's a bunch of different bumps all throughout the thing, especially as you go under the bridge on the backstretch. A lot of drivers use the bridge as the turn-in point for turn 3. And I think, when you think about entering the corner here, Chris, turn 1 and turn 3 are pretty similar in the way that you enter, yet this racetrack is not symmetrical in that way.
Yeah, it's very similar how you can enter. You can attack the corner, you can back the corner up, but either way, you got to find a way to get that car to cut through the corner, and then be careful coming off, because right there, turn 4 and turn 2, the wall will reach out and grab you if you are not very careful with it. I mean, this again, you think you can take a break racing around this track, and you don't. You're running a full mile of just hustle and bustle and whatever else you can do to gain speed and gain track position. But oh, by the way, preserve tires at the same time as Mike Kelly gets past Jason Karlovage, who's going to come back to the outside here in that 60 car This is a fight for the 5th position right here.
Yeah, and this just kills you to run side by side here. It's so difficult to get the pass. Most of the time, what you see is someone like Kelly eases out of the throttle and allows Karlovaj to go by, because you really do a disservice to both cars trying to run side by side. The bottom car hugging the bottom is just scraping the tires, and the top one can't find enough speed running in that outside groove to execute the pass, and both drivers suffer for it. So Kelly easing out a little bit and letting Karlovaj go. And this is one of those racetracks where somebody might jet around you early, but you'll make your way back to them in short order.
Track temp already hitting 124 degrees last time by us. We were able to check with our meteorologist down there at the track, who we don't even know who it is. But they texted me and said 124. So I'm like, okay, I believe you. I don't know. Anyways, 16 laps complete.
That's Stormfield. Stormfield. I said Mark Jorgensen there running in that 4th position. Take a peek on Pedro Mojica. Pedro's car back end stepping out just a little bit, and Mark is doing the classic thing, which is running right on the bumper, waiting for a mistake. You're typically looking, if you want to execute a pass, to put yourself in that position by being right with the car you're going to pass, so that if it makes a mistake, you can take the opportunity to draw alongside. And Mark Jorgensen Jr. in 4th right now, applying a phenomenal amount of pressure to Pedro Mojica.
Yeah, Mark is doing everything he can to get Pedro loose. The one thing, though, he's got to be careful of is, remember where all the air goes in this car, to the bottom of the car. And when you are sitting up there in the rear of that car, you are not getting much turn, so you got to worry that you are just running the front tires into the ground right now, trying to turn that car. But the one thing I am seeing is he is peeking his nose out just a little bit. They see right there how he gets tight behind him. That'll hurt that right front tire, any kind of scrub like that. So I'm surprised Mark isn't trying to move up the track a little bit here. I know there's Pedro showing the bottom a little bit, so he can get his nose down there. But then Pedro's going to shut the door back on him here.
Yeah, Pedro's got the run in and Mark has got the run off. This time, Pedro is going to pull up and let Mark go by. He's felt the pressure. And, you know, sometimes when you're just trying to put together laps and stack them on top of each other, it's so difficult when someone's pushing you. But I think Mark Jorgensen Jr. wants to stay with the top 2 and not let them draw away. This is the type of racetrack, if it goes green and they get out, it's very difficult to run someone down.
Fuller leading by 4/10 right now over King as we look back. And I think Jimmy Coleman might be having some connection issues, unfortunately. And speaking of EJ O'Rourke, we noticed he did not make the grid here, unfortunately. So he is not starting the race. And Jimmy Coleman, I think, has lost at sea, unfortunately, in the 54. So I hate to see that for him. But hey, let's check back here at Doy Woods, who started 22nd, falling all the way back to 24th here, as he just took a spot from Kevin Stone. This is about 9 seconds back from the lead.
Yeah, some drivers do like this track, and other drivers, they call it the fishbowl. They would love to see it filled with water. They just don't particularly like it. And, you know, if you run well at Bristol, you can somehow find the same magic here, because getting down into the corner, finding the spot where you pick up the throttle, and being able to execute the push to pass, so to speak, coming up off the corner and make speed on the straightaway is how you make this place work. And some drivers are just absolutely baffled by this place.
I'm one of them. I love racing here, but yet on iRacing did not do too well as Comstock up there getting the wall. And oh, by the way, new leader Kevin King just took the lead literally in the last corner over Justin Fuller and moves to the front here at lap 23. So Fuller had his 23 laps of fame. Unfortunately, King has said, "Give me my throne back, sir," as you see the replay in the inside lane, and Fuller just yielded to him. Justin did say, if you remember during the interview last week when he talked about his race, he said that Dover, yeah, he didn't have I mean, it wasn't the worst things to say, but it wasn't the nicest things either. So
Yeah.
to see him lead some laps there, obviously good for him, but you know, he's going to have some work to do now as Kev makes the move there. Car trying to work its way forward here. Josh Parker up to the 18th position. He's going to pass Seth Foudy right now. And Randy Oakham, for I think a second straight week, is trying to follow Josh through the field. If I remember
Yeah,
correctly, he
Parker
is.
up 8 positions right now. He's the biggest mover in the field.
Karlovaj trying to get around Pedro. He does so. Mike Kelly's going to go with him, and Pedro Mojica doing something kind of rare here. Usually one of the better long-run cars is kind of falling back here. Oh, and Kelly punches the wall. So you wonder if these cars are starting to get a little tight. Maybe there was a little arrow there off Jason. Not sure.
So about the 25, 30 lap range is when we start to see some drivers fall off. And this is where you start to see the passing going on and drivers who are thinking, well, if this is going to go long, I need to save my stuff a little longer, or now it's time to hustle a little bit. I'm going to take advantage of that car slip sliding in front of me. And we are starting to see some passes of drivers coming and going as the race proceeds.
So 28 laps in the books this time by. Out of the 160, Kevin King leading, Justin Fuller, Mark Jorgensen, Jason Karlovaj, Mike Kelly. And a pretty tight little battle back here as Calantoni's been kind of ripping the boards a little bit. They're getting up the track. He's passed Wesley Donaldson. Now he's trying to pass Pedro. Up here for the 6th position now. But I'm starting to say Pedro, yeah, usually one of the better long-run cars here. And unfortunately for him, he's kind of falling back. But in fairness to Pedro, he doesn't get the race too often anymore. He's more of that family guy on the side these days, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, what I see for Pedro's car is you want to come off the corner and you want your car to be in the slip. What that means is you're almost sliding the car up until it catches and is straight on the corner. And unfortunately for Pedro, the right side keeps squirting out for him, which is going to heat up that right rear, and that means you go backwards.
Which is not what you want to do here at this track. So got to try to preserve as much as you can. Here's the,
Ooh, that's a mess right there.
I'd say, Chad Coleman back here with Comstock, and Bentley Glazier about pushed up into Joe Hudson with that Exalta. Is that like a cranberry color?
Yeah.
Like
It's like a wine cooler.
I'd say wine cooler, or even the what's it, the beets that you eat at Doug Sigmund has gone to pit road, unscheduled pit stop there. What's those? Is that what they're called? Beets that you eat at Thanksgiving time? Since we're on that time of the year.
I can't say I know what that is.
The little reddish cranberry sauce, I guess would be another way to put it.
Cranberry,
But they
yeah.
look like beets, I think, or something like that. Anyways, so how much I eat those. Josh Parker working his way up inside of his good old buddy David Comstock, now up another spot to 15th. As Parker got a pretty good long run car in this Fritos ride, as unfortunately he's got a little bit of a stalled side-by-side battle in front of him that's going to keep him going around. But knowing Josh, he might stick her in here. Have to be careful if he's Bentley Glazier.
Yeah, Joe Hudson's the one that's in trouble here. And his car keeps squirting out like we were talking about last time off of turn 4. You could just see the car do-si-do and swing the rear end off the back. He's running that high side. And for whatever reason,
no!
Josh Parker gets turned
Saved
off
it.
the nose of
Saved it.
Hudson.
We saved
Ow.
it. We stayed green.
Ow!
He straightened it out.
I mean, he was physically sideways 90 degree to the front nose against the outside wall.
Did they even lose a position? I know they lost time, but I think Scott Sibley's the only car, maybe Chad Coleman, that got by them.
I just don't know how that worked. He got absolutely sideways and then pushed back straight by Joe Hudson and grabbed the gear and off he went.
Well, let's see that again.
That's unbelievable.
There we go. This might be a save of the year right here for Sim500. Oh, he got a little bobble there off the corner. Hey, he was just let me straighten you back out. Keep going. They literally lost 2 spots.
Wow. And how that wasn't a caution, I don't know. And it's funny, Joe Hudson right back there. It's his back bumper. Just never lifted. Fritos went in a dip and then came back out the other side.
Oh, boy. Thank gosh there's no any flat spots in these wheels. Look at this again. You're going to see
Unbelievable.
Josh bobble at the last second here.
Look at Chad Coleman right there. Watch this
there on the
happen.
hill. There's the bobble. And Chad goes
Oh,
by.
yeah, I'm
There's
gonna
one
go
spot.
left.
There's your second spot, and we stay green.
They were down on the apron to get past him. I thought the 12 was going to catch the cone.
Josh was like, hey, Mom, watch this. As
If and when Josh Parker ends up with the top finish in this race, they will look back in that moment and say it could have all been thrown away, right? The Celsius Fritos car was flat sideways on the front straightaway. You don't normally drive out of the monster in that manner.
If he gets a top 3 finish tonight and we get to that shout out part, his first words better be Joe Hudson. And it could be a positive or a negative. I don't care. I think he owes him a thank you at least for straightening it back out. But either way, great job on his part to save that. We're going to step away and catch our breath after that one. And get you more racing here from Dover Motor Speedway Virtual and iRacing at Sim500 in the NC811.org Cup Series.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811.
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
Back we are here at Dover, 41 laps into this 160 lap race. The Monster Mile. It's the Jersey boy there, Anthony Calantoni, making the move in that Talking Giants 84. We're going to give him the same talk we give MTJ as he walks off into his retirement. Is this one of Anthony's 15 home tracks that he races at here, Dover or New Hampshire or wherever? Flemington. Pay homage to Mr. England here. Home track. Wall Stadium, somewhere.
There was rumor that Martin Truex was going to race the Turkey Derby this year, although everybody now says it's going to be next year. And there was also some conversation that Tyler Reddick would be there this year.
I can see those happening. I know they just announced Kyle Busch running the Chili Bowl, which is interesting because I know usually he goes out there with his son and runs the week before, if that event's called, out there at Tulsa during the January part of the year.
Tulsa Shootout.
Thank you, Tulsa Shootout. I should know that. Good thing.
We had the conversation of whether we were going to go out and race there this year. I'm not sure what the verdict is. Spend New Year's Eve basically out there. Yeah. Cool venue, I'll tell you. That place is really neat.
I'm just more curious how they vent that place out because you got so many cars in there that are racing or getting tuned up or whatever. And, you know, obviously you're in a civic center. I mean, it's not a, you know.
Yeah. Well, we've been sucking fumes in the internal. I remember going to Atlantic City in the 70s at the Boardwalk Hall, and you would watch the cloud bank come down from the ceiling and it almost gets to track level. And yeah, very similar. They call it the Tulsa flu. You get all the fumes from the cars, and when you leave there at the end of the week, you're really a little under the weather from having breathed fumes all through. But you know, that's why you go to the Turkey Derby. You might have to pour 4 layers of coats, or Snowball Derby. I don't know. That one is in Pensacola,
that one's
right?
In Florida, yeah. It's still chilly, but probably not that bad.
Not as bad as I'll tell you. There was one year. I don't know how we were wearing like 5 layers and had 2 sleeping bags and still froze to death. Yeah.
Should be interesting. And even Fort Wayne actually is an event here. It's a, I forget what they call it. It's like right now off the top of my head, but it's a 1/4 mile asphalt track that they run inside the Coliseum with quarter midgets. Like right around Christmas weekend and stuff. I think Tony Stewart's run it a few times among others, and I have to swing up there this year. I didn't get a chance to go last year.
They still race in Atlantic City. They run a couple different places. They even have inside of Allentown and Trenton the races where they run the TQ midgets and things like that, which happen here in the Northeast. And all these people who come to Dover, that's where you'll see them in the wintertime. You know, this mid-Atlantic region, that's the indoor racing for anybody like Anthony Calantoni. Kevin King doing Kevin King kind of things right now. He is out front, has a 2.1 second lead, not insurmountable. The 51 of Justin Fuller is keeping in tow, and right behind them, this battle of the 88 and the 60 is pretty tight. Karlovaj started up front, continues to run in the top 5. He's a car length off the back bumper of Mark Jorgensen Jr. It almost looks like he's got a tow hitch hooked on the back of the Mountain Dew Camaro, and he's just kind of riding and pacing himself back there. Tony, he's starting to slip back just a little bit. He's got the number 2 Exalta Toyota of Mike Kelly right behind him. And then Wesley Donaldson, somebody I think is going to be good on the long run. We always see Wesley take advantage of like that last 10 laps of the tire run to come forward. And the WBD diecast Camaro looks pretty good here tonight, solidly in the 7th position.
So Joe Hudson is coming to pit road, as you saw also on camera as we were coming back. Should mention, you saw the pass with Coleman and Simley getting by Bentley Glazier. Glazier's starting to fall back here a little bit. And I think this is that point of the race. It's hard to run this many laps straight at practice in any league you run. So without, obviously you take a lot of time to run this, so you don't get to do a lot of other type of things you might want to do at a practice session. So this is no man's land per se for a lot of cars. Don't know how they're driving. Some could be driving really good, some could be really bad, some could be plowing tight. And if you're plowing tight at this moment in the race, that might not be such a good thing. Does that mean that right front is likely sliding? As we see cars kind of venturing up now, at a full groove, if not a groove and a half up. But yeah, you mentioned 3rd place. Jorgensen has got about a 10th on Karlovaj. Then you got 2 other cars back here with Tony Kelly and Donaldson. And then you got Kevin Brown. He's going to lose a spot. Chad Coleman's going to go by and bring Scott Simley with him. That's 38. And 12 cars are looking pretty sporty here in the long run.
Yeah, certainly you would expect Chad Coleman, the veteran, to know how to get around and save the car for the long run. The driver that I thought would come forward, and the car looks a little unsettled, is the 19 of Tyler Dalton. Every time he comes up out of the corner, he's just not in the racetrack. The car feels like it slides up off, and he finished 2nd here back in the spring, and I would have thought that he would come forward, but in this first run, and one thing we have to remember is maybe the first run driver didn't like the feel or just didn't get settled in. And this track reminds me, Chris, strangely, of Homestead. You have to figure out every time you go down in the corner how you want to drive off of the corner. It's very similar to the way that Homestead, you go in, you take the car, that it gets set, and then you pick up the throttle and you try to come off. And some drivers pick up the throttle a little too much, and then they pay on exit. And if you slip on exit coming out of this racetrack, 1, you'll pancake the wall, and 2, the car will step out just like the 19 just did for Tyler Dalton. Car is not in the racetrack, and he's trying to hustle it.
And Tyler up in the 9th position right now as I'm taking notes on Kevin's insight on Homestead there. I see where you're at with that. Obviously, with the way you come off the corner there, because obviously Homestead being a lot longer in mid-corner, which you kind of have here at Dover. The straightaways are not as long as the corners are here. So you got to be able to balance out how much you slow into the corner and how much you keep going. It's Kevin Brown. He's the first of the leaders, we'll say, on pit road here. At lap 57, he comes in. So obviously he's going to split this race into a 2-stopper. So again, this is where I think you're going to see those people that are going to split this race into 1 or 2 stops. Again, I've heard the talks that people can make it to lap 80 here. And if so, a 1-stop race. The question is, can you make the tires last? As here's Scott Simley to 11th as he gets around Coleman now. So that 12 car is looking pretty sporty here on the long run. And you wonder if he maybe backed it off early in this race to save the fuel. Because, Scott, he's one of those, if he can make it to halfway, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But, hey, shout out to...
Scott's really a smooth driver, one of the smoothest we have. He always is just taking care of his equipment and always really strong on the long run.
60 laps complete here. Shout out to all the viewers hanging out here this evening in chat. Those who come out hang out, even over in the Sim500 page on Facebook. Appreciate you guys over there. Obviously, Mark Schmitz, who's part of the MC Racing. Want to give him a shout out, of course. Had a tournament this past weekend They're his building there downtown. I mentioned the Fort Wayne event. The Fort Wayne Rumble is what it is called. It's come back to my mind. If you happen to come across this video or heading to that event there at the Coliseum coming up in December, a place you can do some sim racing at. It's MC Racing in downtown. We appreciate Mark for putting us on the air there on his monitors while everybody's out there racing. I know he was hanging out in chat here a little bit ago. Miss Weeks cheering on Justin Mons. And then Kayla Fosnot joining us. Of course, races over on Wednesday nights on the league here that you see here on the Captain eSports Network. He's hanging out in chat doing some watching here tonight. As we are 63 laps in, less than 100 to go already. Kevin King leads by 2.2 right now as he's coming up on Gerald Livingston, who's going to be the first lap, or one of the first lap cars. They already put a lap on. Let's see, who am I seeing? The Mark Schrader there, the 43, or in the, I'm sorry, the 45. Brian Wortman's gone a lap down. He's just starting to knock him off here. And I think, I mean, is there a play here? I mean, obviously these guys are getting caught. They're not up to speed with King. But is there a play here where if you do go a lap down in this race that you try to go ahead and come to pit road and make it a two-stop race to try to get your lap back somehow? I mean, or is it one of those you kind of have to let this thing roll?
I don't want to go to pit road here. And Kevin DeBrown can attest to that.
Yeah,
he
no
went
kidding.
to pit road and picked up a penalty.
Speeding.
Now he finds himself 5 laps down, and I think he had to sit there for the penalty, which just absolutely killed his race. He's in 29th right now, and you're going to lose at least 2 laps navigating this pit road. So anytime you think you could take pit road to an option from a tire wear standpoint, it almost never pays off at this racetrack.
So you're almost going to lose 2 laps under green. But then when you get a penalty, he's, like you said, went out and lost almost, what, 3 laps more? So he's literally 5 laps down now after a penalty. So, again, is the risk of, we asked this earlier, is the risk of making this a 2-stop race worth the reward if you have a yellow or if you have a mistake or something like that on the track? Yeah, the track looks green right now. Everybody's looking good and racing pretty clean, but it's Dover. Anything can happen. And right now, you ask me, I'm pretty sure the monster is sleeping.
Yeah, this is where it gets a little
Coleman.
tricky, as you see the Coleman go to pit road.
35.
You have drivers who have fast cars with fresh tires.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing, again, they just blow by, and timing-wise, you got to be really careful when you're executing your passes, and you could tell from this pit shot how excruciating slow this pit road is. Overshot his pit.
Driving on pit road at Dover is like driving through the speed zone of a school. For those who actually follow it. For those who actually follow it. You know, there's a few out there like, we have our photo, speed zone, and just get the pit at school. Come on.
Let's see how this pit stop works out for the 38 here on lap 68. We'll see how that plays out, as sometimes the early pitter is the one that benefits from speed, and then a caution comes out and puts you in the mix, and the 25 of Bentley Glazer drops off to go to service.
Chad Coleman lost 2.5 laps during that pit stop there. About 54-second delta, which is one of the highest numbers in all of stock. 54 seconds, you're running lap times at 25. I'll let you do the math.
And the RefGrips.com Camaro is just chugging along here. He comes across the stripe to complete lap number 70. Now working lap 71. Kevin King out front. He's got a decent lead as the second place car, Justin Fuller, can still see him. He comes up off at turn 2 with Kevin King going underneath the Ally Bridge on the back straightaway past the casino. I see very interesting aspect as we saw how many cars move up, Chris, when the handling went away, yet Kevin, bottom feeder, is down on the bottom, and so is Justin Fuller. They're both on entry down along the bottom. They scoot up just about a quarter or half car length, then come back down to the paved asphalt apron, and you don't see that out of almost the entire field. All of them running 1 to 2 car lengths up, stretching the corner in order to extend the straightaway. You tend to get a drive off of the corner straighter, so that you don't slide the car coming out. But for some reason, and we talked about it in the intro, Kevin King, he's able to hug the bottom of the racetrack almost at the apron on exit. And it looks like Justin Fuller has picked up a little of that reconnaissance, and he's still holding tight.
Because Jorgensen all of a sudden is off the pace here. He's going to lose 2 positions off turn 4 as Joe Hudson turns her sideways off the corner. But the one thing I am noticing more and more here, Kev, I saw a lap ago Wesley Donaldson slide up the track. But you watch here, if we had a camera sitting off the turns right now, everybody's pretty much brushing the wall coming off the corner because they're so tight. Yeah. And just trying to get that car to drive off the corner. No lateral grip, if you will. If the forward drive is like there in the rears, but the fronts are just sliding. Think about you got a worn out front tires and you're trying to drive the car and you're turning, the wheels are just sliding. Like driving a cart on a concrete when you're going into your warehouse to load it. Best thing I can think of there. I'm trying to come up with good analogies today.
Driving in the parking lot with a little bit of snow cover, and you turn and the car doesn't go.
She ain't
and you
turning.
turn and you're like, whoa, 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 and then finally the front takes grip. Is the 58 on pit road, the 88 Mark Jorgensen on pit road,
Josh Parker on pit road, and one car missed pit road. Montesi.
Oh no,
he misses pit road, and there's Dover's pits for you. Thankfully, he did not pull a Matt Kenseth.
Tony Stewart. Was it Tony Stewart? Who was driving the 20 car that flipped and flipped?
Oh, Logano.
I was there for that race.
Nice. That was his initiation in racing. As Montesi going to try it again, and this time will make it no problem. As Karlovaj going to come in. So 3rd place on pit road at 78.
The laps tick so quickly here.
Just think about this. Back in the day, they ran 500 laps around this track.
I've been to some of those races, and it was a long day. Jimmy Johnson was just so good at this racetrack.
Jimmy, for those who do not know, Jimmy Johnson, they talk about this every year that this track has one of the best saves of all time.
Oh, yeah.
At this track. If you've not seen the save after the broadcast, get on YouTube and just type Jimmy Johnson Dover save. Sit back and watch. Best part of it is Jeff Gordon's reaction.
Jeff Gordon. Yeah.
Best part of it.
Well, when you have Jeff Gordon and you know he knows what it means, that makes it all the much better.
Tyler Dalton. I mean, he about got the wall. That car didn't want to turn at all. Like, these cars are snailing now around this track. Like, this is where I think people are having tire issues. I mean, look how slow Tyler is around this track right now. I mean, 26.3, 2.5 seconds off. He's backing up the corner halfway. Just watch how this car, as he gets to the throttle, just is going to go straight. Right there. That thing is not turning.
Yeah. Long run speed, not to Tyler's liking. And we talked about the Seth Foudy ascension this season. He's running top 10 right now. He's coming through the field and showing some of the fastest lap times here in the top 10. So that number 11 hasn't lit up here on the long run. And, you know, we talked about the 12 who's up in front of him.
He's still
on the charge. Simley is running 4th right now.
As Mike Kelly comes to pit road. Kelly on pit road, Justin Mons to pit road, Comstock, as we've passed the halfway point. So everybody who made it here, I think, is kind of throwing some laps in the bank here on tires as Wesley Donaldson comes to pit road. You know, real quickly back to the Johnson topic. If I ever had a chance to ask one question to Jimmy Johnson, is here comes Kevin King to pit road. He locks it up, gets it down the speed. If I ever had a chance to ask Jimmy Johnson the question, this would be my question. What was the better save? Was it the Dover save? Or was it his qualifying lap at Indianapolis when he about wrecked it? Because in IndyCar at Indy, in qualifying, anything looking sort of loose, you're wrecking that car likely. And he saved it.
I want to ask him how did he have the foresight to jump up on top of the car
Watkins
when he hit the wall.
That's good.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
When he jumped
The
over his
eccentric car. That was an incredible crash at Watkins Glen, and he jumped up there like he won the race. As more of the top cars on pit road, the Justin Fuller car still out there. Unbelievable mileage that Justin's getting. We said they could go about 79. It's 85, and he's still out on the racetrack as Kevin King has yielded, and Fuller is now in control of the field again.
Yeah, Fuller, Simley, Spouty, the top three now as Rivera's on pit road. Caution! That's why Fuller stays out.
Oh my gosh. All the way back to fourth is a lap down.
Mike Montesi is wrecked, so has the 11 of Seth Foudy. Over here in turn 4. This, again, this goes back to why I bring that point up of why you don't play with fire at this track. It's like you go as long as you can go. It just never fails at this track. I hate to say that, and I hate seeing that for the guys, but caution waves. And for, I mean, let me look at this real quickly. I am seeing 2 cars on the lead lap right now.
Oh no, the 11.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, you'll see.
Uh-oh. We have 2 cars on the lead lap right now coming to pit road.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Scott Simley, Justin Fuller, the only 2 cars on the lead lap here. Chad Coleman is going to get the lucky dog and third.
Unbelievable.
This is the luck of Dover right here. This is why. I mean, I will never, again, I say this all the time, I'll never question the move these guys make out here. But it's like why I'm always in my head saying I will never pit early at Dover unless I absolutely have to. There's your reason. It just always happens. Oh, well, this is going to be fun for everybody to break down. So I'm pretty sure.
So while you're, you have to go back to the caution here.
We're gonna
the
go
11 of Seth Foudy coming to pit road. Missed the entrance, almost hit the barrels. And did a do-right back out onto the racetrack in front of Mike Montesi.
Oh, no. Well, wait a minute here. Let's make note of that because Montesi was the car wrecked with him on the front straightaway here. Oh, is that what caused the caution?
Tagged him, yes.
Oh, never mind here. Okay.
Go back just a little bit further and watch what the 11 did trying to get to pit road. We were just talking about him running in the top 5. Came off the banking, got onto the apron. Car got unsettled. He wasn't slow enough. Went to yank it left, and at the last minute tried to abort. And unfortunately, no good.
Oh, no. Right in front of Coleman, too. Oh, my gosh.
He didn't hit the barrels, but unfortunately for him, damage was done. The car came up across the racetrack.
He got barreled into, unfortunately.
Well, the good news for the drivers being 1 lap down is there's no doubt Justin Fuller is going to have to pit. And everybody can get the wave around here.
There's not many of them a lap down. That's the problem here, Kev.
I know.
Yeah, there's the wow. So let me see if I can do my best Alan Bestwick here. I've always been told some of me sounds like him because of I like. Apparently, I'm good at breaking this stuff down. I don't know. Okay. So Fuller and Simley are the 2 cars that were left on the lead lap. They've come to pit road here. Chad Coleman gets the lucky dog. You're going to see Kevin King, Jason Karlovage, Mark Jorgensen, and Pedro Mojica likely take wave arounds. That's 7 cars for those who haven't noted. Where's Joe Hudson? Because that's going to be key here. Joe Hudson is still behind Fuller and Simley. So, we are going to have 7 cars on the lead lap when we go green at the restart. Welcome to Dover, ladies and gentlemen. We woke the monster up.
Coleman, yeah? Ted Coleman was the lucky dog.
Coleman will be the lucky dog. He'll have to start all the way at the back of the field. Right. And then, then he'll have the wave rounds behind them. So it should be Fuller, Simley, lap cars, Coleman, guys who take the waiver out.
Wow.
If I break
That's all I can see.
Yeah, right?
Holy cow.
Everybody get that? Notes, there's a test later in our, after the race.
I love the wave around train. The 81, 2, 91, 74, 41, 45, 19, 75, 00, 93, 29, 58, 23, 22, and there's a couple of them in there I missed.
Restart here at lap 89.
Holy cow.
Uh,
That'll put 23 cars on the lead lap if I have the timing right.
no. There's only 7 on the lead lap right now.
Well, right now I'm just looking at the way timing and scoring is showing it.
Yeah, once they get back, Randy Yoakum will be the first car lap down in 8th.
Yes, correct. As timing catches up, and Chad Coleman is our lucky dog running in 7th. As the pace car is in, it comes back to Justin Fuller and Scott Simley.
As we give a shout out to the old 1980s NASCAR rules, the inside line being the lead lap cars.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh. And Coleman's back there. He's coming out of turn 2. Last car on the racetrack as the leaders are heading into turn 3. I'm sure he's quite pleased still, though, that he's on the lead lap as Brian Wertman on the apron over there.
Now, in all seriousness, we got to look at this situation because you've got a deal now where a lot of the playoff cars just got caught up in all this. You are now looking at Kevin King, who's now up to 3rd. He and Carl Lavage, Jorgensen, Mojica, these guys are all right here with Chad Coleman, who's behind them a little bit further. I mean, Josh Parker is now up to 10th. You got Wesley Donaldson in 12th, Mike Kelly in 11th, Mons is 13th, Tyler Dalton 14th, and a wrecking up ahead here. One car around, it's Parker.
Yeah, and he's going to get clipped, and this is going to be...
Somebody just went flying, I think.
Yeah.
I thought I just saw a red car go catapulting.
They have a Joe Hudson. Joe Hudson got loose coming up out of the corner.
Oh, they meet again?
Tagged Kevin Stone.
Oh, okay.
Well, I tell you, it's difficult coming out of the corner trying to hustle. Car gets loose here. He catches it, but comes off the...
What a
concrete.
job by Mike Kelly and Wesley Donaldson to miss that.
Yeah, they could see it all developing in front of them. They just kept down on the bottom. Luckily, you know, on the backstretch, you tend to see things swing down. On the front stretch, they stay up a little bit, and you have an escape route down there, and everybody able to drive down underneath it. And they did go all the way down to the inside wall for the 81.
That actually almost started over on the back straightaway here as Parker almost gets clipped by Hudson right here in turn 3. Watch this. Yikes! Shoves him up the track a little bit, and then obviously Hudson's going to get loose right here. Just tight loose. You can see how tight the car looked, and it just snapped on him. Mike Kelly, and I mean, look at this. We'll have to go on board with Kelly to miss that. That's impressive. So this is going to change things once again, as you're going to see Randy Yoakum take the lucky dog here, and he'll go back on the lead lap officially. And this does help out those who took the wave, because they are now going to be back within a lap of the leaders here. But obviously, you're going to need a lot more help. Let's go on board with Mike Kelly here. And this one's going to be right in your living room.
Wow.
And
here he has a choice.
And you know the best.
What's the difference there?
The best thing he did in that situation, he never put himself inside of that cone, because he would have got a penalty. Believe it or not. Ask me how I know. And would have had to go to the back or serve a penalty on pit road or something likely. All right, so as I said, just trying to break this one down some more. Randy Yoakum's going to get the lucky dog. He'll be the 8th place car on the lead lap now. So that's going to leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 cars, 1 lap down. Gerald Livingston will be the first one 2 laps down in 19th. There, I got it. We're going to go take a break now and come back and get reset here for this Is it a full moon? Anybody? I'll have to check on that.
Friday.
This
past Friday was full moon.
I'll be damned. Anyways, we'll be back and more racing coming up here on the Captain Esports Network.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC 811 app. Know what's below before you dig. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here on the Captain Esports Network, Dover Motor Speedway, and what is, well, they always say in life, you never wake the sleeping baby when you have a little one. At this track, you don't wake the sleeping monster. And we went 84 laps, I think it is, of green flag racing. And the monster awoke, and caution came out and trapped all but 2 cars a lap down. Obviously, with pit stops and some people taking the wave rounds, we're now up to 8 cars on the lead lap. We have 10 cars a lap down, multiple others 2 or more laps down, and basically, if you put all the cars in a Yahtzee can and shake them up, that's what we got right now. Justin Fuller leads, Scott Simley second, Jason Karlovage third, Kevin King, Chad Coleman your top 5, and I mentioned earlier, Kev, the guys that got the wave around there, caught the lucky break. Let's not forget the guys that who got the wave around that last caution, that moved on to the lead lap. They're now up here with the leaders again. So this works out for them very well, that caution there.
Yeah, for Chad Coleman, I talked about him being a straightaway or more behind. Now he's right in touch with the leader, currently running in that second row as we're just about to go back to green. Fuller picks the outside, and he's going to charge off to turn 1. He got a good jump with Karlovage following him through. Simley a little slow down on the bottom. He bottlenecked Kevin King. King has jumped to the outside. They're side by side out of 2 with King taking over that slot, and they are tight behind them with Coleman and Jorgensen Jr. trading paint out of turn 2.
And we are going to sit back and let you guys turn it up here on the Captain Esports Network. Back under the bridge there, as Fuller leads, but unfortunately the Shark has bounced back. Ally, thank you. Has bounced back to the second position as Kevin King, as Josh Parker's come to pit road. Unscheduled pit stop for a playoff driver, and he's going to take the 81 behind the wall, it looks like, and done for the night. So Josh Parker, unfortunately, having a rough start to the playoffs here as Fuller leads King by 0.6 of a second. Karlovage, Pedro Mojica, and Scott Simley having a great run in that 5th position. And you could argue that Scott Simley might have had the best long run car out of everybody here, but he's not going to be able to run this car as long. So I wonder how much that speed could be there later in this race. As you see Mike Kelly, that's a lap car.
Appropriate.
Yeah, right? Speaking of speed, Mike Kelly, unfortunately, a lap down, though, as he passes Chad Coleman.
Tell you the driver I would circle that's going to be dangerous is Pedro Mojica. You had the first half of this race to learn the racetrack and figure it out, sitting on fresh tires and running in fourth. I expect him to be formidable for the second half of this race, and podium is not out of the question for the Chevrolet Camaro of Pedro as he's working on the back bumper of Jason Karlovaj, who arguably is having one of his best runs of the season here. Must be one of those drivers that lines up at this racetrack, because that number 60 has been stout all night long.
Yeah, Jason looking really good right now in the third position, as he's only about 1.5 seconds back. We'll grind with Simley. And this is definitely get interesting here. We've got 53 to go to see if he can pass Karlovaj for the third spot. I want to give a shout out to everybody watching here on the stream tonight. Appreciate you as always. If you're hanging out over in the Facebook chat of Sim500, I see a few people hanging out over there. And obviously a few more hanging over here on the Captain eSports Network channel on YouTube. Much appreciation to you. I'm very thankful for all of you guys, and looking forward to hanging out each and every weeknight when we can. Of course, on Monday nights, we've got 4 weeks to go, and we get race number 3 coming up in actually 2 weeks. We'll take next week off for the old turkey holiday. Tryptophan special.
I'm watching this interval up front, just wondering if Mr. King is riding or if he's going to try and track down and take over the lead. We talked about the importance of clean air, but you also got to take care of your car and make sure that you have what you need. Right now, cue the Jaws music. Kevin is right on the back bumper, could almost push Justin Fuller down the front straightaway. Shows a nose to the high side, coming through 1 and 2. Going to drive down low off the corner. He's got a huge run. Will he get alongside? He's going to make the position. He's to the number. Fuller saw him coming, stayed high, and Kevin King is going to drive around, and not so fast, but he is going to pick up the position. And lap 111, P1 is the number 29.
So King goes back to the front, and here comes Mojica lurking. No slouch either. Obviously, Mojica, the champion of last season in both the Cup and Xfinity, becoming the first in Sim500 history to pull that one off. And he'll be relinquishing that title here at the end of this season. He did not run full time at all this year, but that did not keep him out of victory lane. I think he pulled off a couple of wins in his very limited role here this season. See Fuller not yielding to King there. Still got 48 laps to go. Plenty of time here. And so far,
it's kind of interesting to look at the, Fuller led 23 laps on the outset. Then it was 60 laps for Kevin King leading. 51 laps for Justin Fuller in that stint. And on lap 111, Kevin King becomes our fourth different leader here tonight. And I'm just wondering who has what it takes to run the 29 down, and will we have short runs? I talked to you during the break there about cautions breed cautions. Right now, everybody seems kind of settled down, and now I'm wondering, will we run green to the finish? As Pedro certainly is picking up the pace here. He doesn't want to let these guys get away.
Justin Mons off the pace here in the 14th position. Just saw 2 or 3 cars shoot past him. And he's losing more spots as Comstock's going to go by. Charles Van Schaik going by as the 41 a little off the pace, and now he shuts the door on the 93. I'm sure Kev's not going to be happy about that one.
Yeah, Kevin's a couple laps down, really doesn't enter into the contest, so maybe Mons decided he owned the racetrack there.
Tell me lap
you can let a couple cars by, but when you see somebody who's multiple laps down, you want the line.
There's a hashtag that we've used plenty of times, me and some people I know from other series. One particular one, I'm going to throw it out here in this one, because in this case it fits perfectly. Lap cars matter.
I don't buy that. If you're running 3 laps down and you have no way to advance your position, get out of the way. Get out of the line. As John Panette would say.
Fuller still within 0.2 of a second. Mojica 5/10 back, and surprised that car's not getting more and more tight. Fuller pushing. Oh, Van Schaik getting up in the Comstock. David not usually happy with that kind of move.
Yeah, it's been an eventful season for the 13
Couple
of
weeks,
Comstock.
it's a couple weeks especially.
About every couple weeks, we end up having a moment for him, and right now, I'm sure David would just like to have a clean race.
I think, David kind of shook that one off and made the better move there, and kind of went on with it and made the pass on Van Schaik and continues on here. So let's see, 43 laps to go. The pit window, don't have to worry about that the rest of the race. Track temp still sitting at 124, so track slick. So tires are still going to be a factor here in this race. Trying to get it, trying to make it to lap 160 without burning them up, because you obviously get to this point in the race, you want to drive as hard as you can almost still, but you got to almost teach yourself discipline. Almost like you almost want to put a cord on your right foot and say, hey, easy, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we still have quite a few laps to go here, but right now the driver taking advantage of the night is Chad Coleman. He came 12 markers out, or 14 markers out of the point championship lead in 9th over, and he's chasing Tyler Dalton, Mike Kelly, Wesley Donaldson, Charles Van Schaik, Justin Mons, all running behind him. The closest competitor behind him is Mike Kelly, one lap down, running in 9th. And so right now, Chad Coleman doing what he needs to do to keep his entry in the mix for the championship is out in front of him. This is where I want to see where Scott Simley is going to end up. I think there's enough laps for Scott to have a solid top 5 and possibly come up and contend for a top 3 given the long run that he had.
Now, how fast was Scott Simley during that long run? Let me explain this. There were a couple laps I looked over, and he was running as fast as the leader on the long run. I mean, he's got a car that, as these tires really start to fall off the map, that 12 car comes to life. And I'm not sure if he's still running that snail's pace he was earlier, but if so, that 12 car could be something to watch here as this race moves on. But I still find it fascinating how he was able to run up and almost pass cars at will during the last 40 laps of that run, that last half of that run.
Yeah, I mean, the driver who consistently is throwing speed energy cans out on the racetrack trying to get a debris caution is Mike Kelly, because he's got a top 5 car right now and he's running in the 5th slot on the racetrack, but unfortunately being one lap down, he's not really in the mix. Now, if you're one lap down and you're in the lucky dog position, I do think you're going to run as hard as possible. If you're multiple laps down, that doesn't make any sense, but Mike Kelly's got a fast Exalta Toyota here tonight. He just needs a little track position.
Well, if you're Mike in this situation, you're kind of in a box, because you're not necessarily racing the leader right now. You're riding, let's see, technically position-wise on track, he's running 5th on track. He's between the 4th and 5th place car. He's about 4 seconds from the leader, so he's not going to catch the leader unless something weird happens. I look at the timing and scoring right now, and Mike is about 2 seconds, maybe a second and a half ahead of Wesley Donaldson, so you can kind of pace yourself here and just ride. And then, just keep an eye on Wesley and maintain the gap between the two of you. And hopefully you get a yellow, put you back on the lead lap. Otherwise, you've got more to lose, I think, right now than you do to gain.
Yeah, and as we look across the racetrack here from the spotters booth, you can see that everybody's kind of single filed out. I was wondering if we should take note of this. One of the faster cars after the drop of the green flag at lap 113 was the 58 of Pedro Mojica, but Pedro ran the tires off. He's dropping back just a little bit, and I wonder in the long run if that will serve to hurt him a little bit. But if we have a caution late in this race, the 58 was quick on that short stint.
You know how many times I've heard somebody say that? Pedro's burned off the tires? Like, hardly ever.
Ever, yeah. Well, I don't know that he's burned them off, but he did charge and stay with those two. He drove actually up to the top 2, but as this run goes on, the 29 and 51 have squirted away, and they hold right now a almost 4-second lead over Pedro Mojica, who's got Jason Karlovage running him down, along with Scott Simley, Chad Coleman, Mark Jorgensen Jr., and Randy Yoakum Mike Kelly, Leslie Donaldson, that's your top 10 as they run. As the driver I thought would be the guy tonight would be the 19 of Tyler Dalton. And for whatever reason on that long run, that car did not handle. And he's mired back there in 13th, but I think if we get a short stint at the end, don't count the 19 out.
Well, he's got to get back in the lead lap first, unfortunately. Yes, he is a lap down. But, yeah, I mean, Tyler obviously has the speed every week and can get up there and battle. And I'm sure for him, he just wants to trying to get a shot to get back on that lead lap and battle for this win when it's all said and done. But unfortunately, the laps are counting down. Less than 30 to go here at Dover. We're going to step away for our last break, come back, and get you to the finish here at the Monster Mile, virtually on iRacing at Sim500 here on the Captain eSports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have x-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here at the Monster Mile. 28 laps to go as Kevin King on the way potentially to another victory as we watch the battle with Scott Simley, who has now passed, or I should say Jason Karlovac has passed Pedro Mejica, now Simley trying to get by him. And I want to give a shout out real quickly to 40 Racewear. They have actually got a little bit of a Christmas special going on right now. Make sure you go to 40racewear.com right now and check out the deals on the shoes and the gloves and so much more. Again, did check out a little bit of a, if you want to call it Black Friday, even though it's like 2 weeks early like everywhere else is, check out 40racewear.com. In all seriousness, Kev, something we were talking about off the air, Kevin, obviously so smooth here, and I figured what better way to talk Kevin's lap than having somebody named Kevin do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the things that I see out of Kevin King when you watch that cockpit view is he goes down into the corner of the car, comes perfectly right to the center where he's holding the throttle, maybe dragging the brake, and then in the center it almost looks like the car points. And what I mean is that it seems to reach that perfect balance where it turns left and comes down to the apron, and from there he's able to feather the throttle and come up and bring the car right up square to the straightaway and the outside wall. Nobody does it better than Kevin King. You watch as he rolls up out of the corner. A lot of times you see drivers just pick up the throttle a little too hard coming out and the right rear will step out. It takes the perfect touch coming from the center of the corner off when you're picking up the throttle to come up and just square up to the outside wall. It's almost like how you drive Rockingham Speedway, for those who have run that track coming out of turn 2. And Kevin is right down on the bottom of the racetrack where we see a lot of drivers will come under the Ally Bridge, turn in, stay up on the racetrack, let the car slide up in the middle, and then turn down so that they can straighten out the exit to the corner. But he drives this racetrack a little bit different, almost like the Kevin Harvick line that we always used to talk about, where he's down on the bottom, waits for the car to settle in, always drops that left front right to the apron, and it obviously is working for him as he's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. At 25-22 last time to a 25-29, he's going away from Justin Fuller, who's sitting behind him in the 51.
1.6 seconds right now to separation between those two, and believe it or not, you can go, if you get a chance, go back and watch like a race from the mid-90s into the 2000s here at Dover. You got to remember, this is the same surface all the way from 1995. And this track is not driven anywhere near the same as it used to. Before, back in the day, the cars would backing out going into the corner. They would get back to the throttle through the middle and then back out of the throttle through turn 2, back to the throttle coming off the corner, kind of like Darlington now, let's say.
Darlington turn 2 comes
right.
to mind, yeah.
And that's how they drove it back in the day. And then it came down to, just kind of letting the car roll through the corner and roll back through it and the way it's driven today. But I always found it fascinating the way it was driven back in the day compared to now.
The one thing I see with Kevin is he's not fighting the car. He never is you know, turning right to turn left, so to speak, in the, 95 red car.
Yeah, right.
He's always kind of just letting the car roll up where everybody else, you see him left, right, left, right, left, right, using the steering, and that just grinds the tire on the front a little bit. And I think that has a lot to do with the way Kevin's car points in the middle of the corner. And that's where I was picking up that the 51 seems to have emulated that. I'm not sure if he was watching the tape or what, but yeah, showing the 58 of Pedro has dropped back to 7th at this juncture. And Pedro is running the more traditional line. Let the car slide up in the middle of the corner. He's going to hustle the car from the center off. It might slide in yaw up to the straightaway, but he's doing the more traditional diamond up in the center, down to the bottom, sweep out of the corner, let the rear end rotate, and then once the car squares off, you're hammered down the straightaway. And you touched on something earlier, Chris, about turns. This racetrack is surprisingly all turn. You're on the straightaway in such a short little blip, and it's almost like the way you drive Bristol, in that you drive from the middle of the corner off, and partway down the straightaway you're letting off so that the car can go down the banking and into the corner.
Watching a fierce battle here, as we saw a minute ago, Justin Mons take the 15th position from Van Schaik, but here Simley trying to get around the 60 of Karlovaj. He's got Jorgensen behind him in 5th, who, by the way, is on the lead lap. So 3 cars under a blanket here with 16 laps to go. Yes, this might be 7 seconds, unfortunately, behind the race leader, but these guys putting a battle on to get that last spot on the podium here. Simley trying to get him one of his best finishes this season.
Yeah, and Jorgensen's car tends to have a lot of speed on these short runs. He's down underneath Scott Simley. They're door-to-door on entry to turn 1. Jorgensen down on the bottom, trying to hustle the car up out of the corner. Will he clear the 12? Not going to quite get there. He's still door, bumper, not clear. Rolls down in. This time I think he'll clear him, and he could set sail to see if he can get to Karlovaj, and we'll see whether or not we're talking to Mark Jorgensen in a couple laps.
He clears Simley, as Simley must be getting a little tight there. As
a
I
little
mentioned.
English, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, slightly. Maybe
I rode with you, the body English coming up off the corner like.
Maybe worn them tires out. We talked about a little bit ago. He was fast in the long run, but this is a little bit different here. She didn't have as many laps to go. Obviously, when the race went green, so he maybe pushed a little harder and has maybe hurt the tires, but Jorgensen is there.
Yeah, Marcus found that bottom line to his liking. I'm wondering if Karlovaj is going to come down and cut it off. Karlovaj down low. He's going to turn down and close the exit for Jorgensen. Jorgensen just, with Land of Braves, stuck it right in there. He's to the front of the number on entry of the corner. Will he clear him coming up off the corner? Got to be tight here. He's got to be careful. That's a typical front straightaway. Bottom car comes off, gets squeezed, top car goes around.
And of course, you turn the wheel more in that situation. You can't get the full speed off the corner. A little contact maybe there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that top line is a little slower, but Jorgensen really losing speed on exit of the corner, unable to carry the speed. This time he was up against the fence. He's got a good run down underneath.
Jason drives that thing in the Atlantic Ocean as he tries to get the run off the corner. Of course, this track is literally a rock's throw to the Atlantic Ocean. Not only that, but the Dover Air Force Base right down the road also. Of course, Delaware, the size of the state itself is, I'm pretty sure Talladega might be bigger than sarcasm.
Yeah, Jorgensen changed his line. He went to the middle so that he could drive off with a little more speed. He's got a good run out of turn 2. He's to the back bumper. I think he's going to try and drive underneath him here. If he can get a fender underneath him and get even squared up down the front straightaway, he might be able to clear him on the entry to turn 1. He's to the back wheel, but unable to clear him. Working that line really well.
Jorgensen's making it, or not Jorgensen, I'm sorry, Karlovaj is making that top work. Oh, he got a little tight there. But he's just able to carry the speed.
I love this kind of, when you're at the racetrack and you're watching this stuff go on, down in 14th, down in 27th. This happens all over the place for Dover. Pretty typical thing is Kevin King going down the back straightaway as the two enter into turn one. Nothing to see there as Jorgensen. He's going to clear him.
Oh!
Yeah, you expect him to be tagged, but that is bringing Scott Simley into the mix here.
Right there is a prime reason, as David Comstock, by the way, going to go by Mike Kelly here for 11th on track, as Wesley Donaldson went by him for 10th, so Mike's starting to fall back here a little bit. But I want to go back to that battle right there, and that right there is the main reason why I have said for a couple of years now, I would love to see Dover with progressive banking in the corners. If you put progressive banking in this track, you will have a bottom to top every time you come here race.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just a certain character to this racetrack. I don't think they play it enough. That, I've been to a lot of single file racing. When Jack Roush developed that one motor that runs like 9,000 RPM and you could hear the car scream down the back straightaway, that changed the racing at this racetrack. But back in the day when it was slip and slide, boy, I'll tell you, this was a racetrack that was equivalent to Darlington in the way that handling mattered. And I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun to watch this as Kevin King squirts underneath Brian Wertman. And he sees clear racetrack in front of him for the handful of laps that we have left.
4 laps to go here at this track. And he looking to put a sweep on the season here. A track that not many have won more than one time. I look over here at this list really quickly here and just want to make sure I confirm this. Looks like Anthony DeBarro's won 2 races here. Daniel Falkingham has 2 wins here, and that's really about it. As it looks like Kevin King might be on his way to actually doing something none of them have done and won twice in 1 year here at this monster mile track. But if he's able to do so, obviously he's going to add to that win column, which is going to put 18 on this win list. He's got 22 poles officially now after winning the pole and looking to put the monster in its final resting place.
Yeah, with 2 to go, this battle for third is not in the books yet, as Karlovac is on the high side. Jorgensen's taken away his air, but Karlovac still carrying a lot of speed, pushing him down the straightaway, and sitting right behind him is Scott Simley in 5th. He'll take advantage of any dust up that these two have. We'll have to see how this is going to go right down to the line.
Sure is, and let me lead you with this as we come to the white flag. On a night where King's going to lead the most laps, Fuller leads a lap. King's going to only gain roughly like 4 points on Fuller. So Fuller did everything he could tonight to literally maximize, or minimize, I should say, the amount lost in a race. Is Kevin King going to bring her through 3 and 4? Won the race back in April. Going to win the race here in November as he will sweep the Monster Mile and score win number 18 this season. As Fuller will finish 2nd. Let's go back to that finish you mentioned for 3rd as Jorgensen going to bounce her off the wall and cross the line. And
he really put the spurs to it in that final lap. Was able to gap a little bit over the 60 of Karlovac and then sailed it down in turn 3 and just gave it all he could out of 4 to make sure he was going to get back to the stripe first.
I look over here at this grid really quickly, and I am seeing not much green up in the top 10. 3 cars out of the top 10 were playoff drivers tonight. 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th, 16th playoff drivers. So you're definitely going to see a little bit of a gap, I think, here after this race tonight. And it's safe to say that caution at lap 84 is going to be talked about for a little while now, as that caution might have shifted a lot of opportunities for guys to be close as they can be to Kevin. So, but King wins it again as he celebrates with a little bit of a monster burnout.
Tell you, the biggest benefactor is the 6th place finish for Chad Coleman, one of the contenders who slipped a little bit in the first round, got a reprieve here in the second round, and that top 10 is going to help insert his name into going a little bit further in the championship hunt.
Yeah, great finish for the 38 car here tonight as he is the third of the 3 cars we mentioned in the top 10 here. As King going to do a little bit of a Polish victory lap as we will look at the finishing order here from Dover. As King wins it by 3 seconds over Justin Fuller, Mark Jorgensen Jr. third. Jason Karlovich fourth, Scott Simley finishing 5th with Chad Coleman 6th. Pedro Mojica finishes 7th. Randy Yoakum with a top 10 finish, the 8 car finishing 8th. Nelson Rivera, David Comstock here top 10. Mike Kelly, Wesley Donaldson 11th and 12th. Toy Woods 13th. Tyler Dalton ends up 14th, and Justin Mons in the 15th position. 16th, Charles Van Schaik. Stoney Benfield 17th. Mark Schrader 18th. Kevin Stone and Gerald Livingston in the 20th position. Brian Wortman 21st. Kevin DeBrown 22nd. Josh Parker 23rd. Joe Hudson 24th. And Seth Foudy 25th. Montesi, Calantoni. Didn't see what happened to Anthony. Put him behind the wall, but he finishes 27th. Bentley Glazier 28th. Patrick Colby 29th. And Doug Sigmund 30th. Jimmy Coleman and E.J. O'Rourke, I think, went to the wrong track or something. I think he went to Riverhead accidentally. But either way, we're going to celebrate a top 3 finish here, and arguably the, shall we call him the most exciting man in the channel usually when it's all over with. This guy here is as positive as all get out tonight. He's probably going to feel that way after a 3rd place finish here this evening, Mark. A great run in a race that, had its own topsy-turvy events happen throughout that race, and you were able to keep yourself up in contention, get that lap back, get on the lead lap, and fight for a top 3 finish tonight.
Yeah, man, I am hot. I am sweaty. My wrists are killing me. This old G27 took another beating again tonight. This thing is super hot, but man, I did not expect that we would go the first half of the race without a caution. I did not expect that we would have some green flag stops. Man, that caution come out, it's one of those playing armchair quarterback, right? Like, man, I wish I just stayed out a few extra laps, but I know I was hurting my right front, and I started getting tighter and tighter and tighter up off the corners, and at one point I thought I blew my right front tire, and I tried to keep it as close to the fence as possible because Joe was coming on some fresh tires, but just his momentum, we just kind of got together a little bit on corner exit, and then I think that same lap I ended up pitting, and whenever I come back around and I saw Seth on the apron spun, I was like, oh my goodness. But it's one of those coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I think if I didn't pit, I really do think I was going to blow my right front tire.
Well, it definitely worked out for you in the end, and I got to say, welcome to the G27 group still, as you and I have similar wheels here, but I guess...
I keep telling these guys in Discord, and, I pick Kevin King's brain a lot. If there's a question, I ask it, and he's been a tremendous amount of help, replying back and all that good stuff. But, yeah, a lot of guys, man, they cannot believe that I'm still rocking this G27, and... I got about a good 11, 12 years out of it so far. And, one of these days I'm going to bite the bullet and give me one of those direct drive wheels and whatnot. But maybe that might be the missing piece. You never know. I might be able to keep up with Kevin. But, the race was a lot of fun. It's hard to pace yourself. And, I don't know. I just think I do it to myself, Chris. I stayed close to those guys. Me, Pedro. We was on Kevin's rear end for several laps, and Pedro ended up falling back, and then I ended up falling back. So the dirty air's got to be affecting our cars pretty bad. But Kevin King's just phenomenal. He doesn't make any mistakes. Justin had the most freshest tires. And you know, whenever that caution come out, you know, them guys pitted, we got the wave around. I was like, oh man, you know, Justin's going to win this race. He's just going to walk away from the field. But man, I was shocked. You know, Kevin does Kevin King stuff. You know what I mean?
He does.
It's phenomenal. I mean, you know, that, you know, I like to go back and watch the broadcast and whatnot, and you know, just watch that stuff, because, you know, it's pretty neat. You know, you can definitely learn some things watching the film and whatnot. But man, I just don't know what it is just yet, Chris. I'm trying. You know, these top 5 finishes, top 3 finishes. I mean, they're nice, right? But man, I really want to beat the best guy on iRacing right now. You know, especially in Sim500.
Hey, that day's coming. Sometimes it takes just running laps at or finishing certain positions, and then all of a sudden you get to that next group, and then you start consistently finishing there, and that top will pop here. I have a feeling in the near future. So keep at it.
Absolutely.
Keep at it, man. And obviously give some shout outs to whoever you like to hear, bud.
Oh man, y'all for the broadcast. Y'all do an absolute amazing job. Chris, Kevin, y'all are phenomenal. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, y'all are by far the best on the service, you know, at broadcasting. I love going back and watching the races, you know, seeing y'all's excitement. You know I get a lot of TV time, whether it's good or bad, but you know how it is, man. Right. You know, either I finish good or I finish in the catch fence. But again, y'all for the broadcast. Sim500. I mean, the best league by far. I mean, there's races just about every night, you know, except for Saturday night. But just amazing, man, that the guys, a lot of the admins in there, a lot of guys stepped up and you know, got with Joey and put some things on throughout the weekend for us to come and race. And like I've always said, Chris, you know, I greatly appreciate you, Kevin, all the league admins across the service, man, to you know, we don't have to pay anything. You know, I think there's just a couple nights that we gotta pay to play type deal, but man, it's cheap, it's fun, you know. But they take a lot of their time out of their lives to put this together. That way, we got a place to call home, and definitely appreciate all of them guys out there, guys and gals on the service that do that. To, you know, that way we got a place to call home, and we get to race and build online friendships and whatnot. But man, the Diet 88 Mountain Dew crew. You know, pit stops were good. Driver did okay. You know, just got to clean it up a little bit. You know, I'll tell you what, man, I like to wrap that bottom, but sometimes wrapping that bottom when you hit the apron and it shoves you up the track, that's not good. You know, so it's a lot of things that I got to clean up. But man, I'm sure I'm missing some. You know, my wife, my smoking hot wife, for letting me to do this. You know, years back, you know, she'd be bickering in my ear that I'm spending a lot of time on here, but she gets it. You know, it's either I sit right here at the house and enjoy iRacing, or I go out to the bar and chase them women. So I mean, pick your best evil. You know what I mean? But man, I could keep going, Chris. But you know, just all the drivers tonight. You know, I love racing all of them. You know, they all got their own little quirks about them and whatnot. But man, it's just a blast. And you know, it's just good to run with these guys, right? You know, I don't deserve anything. I don't expect anything. You know, I race people, you know, the way that I like to be raced. And, you know, there's a lot of guys in here, you know, I like to give and take. And, you know, there's a lot of guys I like to run real hard with. And, you know, obviously if I run real hard, then I pay the price at the end of a fuel run. But, hey, man, like I said, there's just them little small things I got to clean up. And then, man, I'll be beating Kevin King's bumper off one of these days. I can't wait.
It'll be a lot of fun to see it when we do. So
absolutely.
Nice job. Nice job tonight, man. Obviously, congratulations on your third place finish. And
man, I got one more shout out, Chris, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I apologize for stepping up or stepping over you, but I think I've only thanked our series sponsors just a couple times, you know, throughout the season. But NC811, man, you know, I know that they're leaving at the end of the season, but you know, I definitely appreciate them coming on board to sponsor us, to help Joey out and whatnot. You know, we got some good things in the future for the Monday Night Cup Series. I'm sure it'll be announced, you know, in due time, but you know, I'll let the proper people do all that. But just NC811, you know, like I said, you know, I could just go on and on and on and on and on. You know, just people taking the time, effort, whatever, to put this on for all of us. And Joey, all the admins, they don't ask us for anything. You know, all they ask is for us to race clean, smart. Don't hoot and holler at everybody. If you want to do that type of racing where you're keying up and cursing people out and whatnot, and go do official races. There's a reason that we're doing this league stuff. Them official races just ain't fun anymore. But I think I got all my shout outs out there, Chris. Kevin, I appreciate you also, buddy. One of these days I'll finish the number 2 spot, Kevin, and I'll be able to talk to you, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Oh man, Mark Jorgensen Jr. finishing in the 3rd position here tonight. Congratulations to him, and obviously his day's coming. We've said it numerous times. His day is coming, and he will get there. So nice job on his part. Kev, as we go to talk to the 2nd place finisher Justin Fuller here, let me hit you with this little nugget. We joked earlier about would this race see under 5 cautions or 4 cautions was what we predicted. How about tonight being the lowest amount of cautions in a Dover Cup race at 2?
I'll tell you what a great job these guys did on top of each other on a track that's a handful for sure, and everybody kept it together quite well, and it made for a great race. I love the fact that the cautions actually changed the complexity of the race, and one of the guys that turned up
not for him
on the good side of it is Justin Fuller. Justin, I'm telling you, when that caution came out, you must have been all smiles in the fact that you were still out on the racetrack.
I definitely was. I was contemplating, trying to bait Kevin into pitting, just so I could do a different strategy and just hope for that caution, right? And he'd stay a lap down. But unfortunately, or fortunately, he decided to just pit on his own. And I was like, I'm going to go in at least another 10 laps here. I had nothing to lose. I had like 5 or 6 seconds out the back to the next 3rd place at the time. So I got to try something different. And I ended up working out. I kind of wish that it would have went green, only had the 1 yellow. But see how it would have played out. I'm sure Kevin would have ran me down regardless, so it didn't really matter. But it was nice to be on the flip side of things for a change and try something different.
Last week, you were not very happy about coming to this racetrack yet. I know you pulled up your bootstraps and you got yourself a 2nd place finish. You kept yourself in the points content. In fact, I'm looking at the updated points as we look at it. You're 5-6 markers back, sitting in 2nd behind Kevin King and keeping him honest. And tell us about your run here tonight. We heard drivers talk about the cars not wanting to turn, having a push. What was the experience in the units car here tonight?
Never really got tight. I don't think it was kind of neutral all night for me. I think maybe a little snug late in the run, but not too bad. If anything, it was over rotating on corner exit for me. But I think it was just when I was on the throttle too hard. So I really had to play with just put an eggshell underneath the gas pedal there on corner exit and try and keep the rear tires under me for the long run. And it paid off. This was by far the best Dover race I have ever put together in my life from start to finish. And I think it showed. I've been trying to learn some stuff on this car and just try and close the gap on Kevin. And it doesn't matter how much I close in. It's never going to be enough. But it's nice to capitalize a little bit. And I was taking. I don't know if he was, playing games and just doing what he had to. If he had more in the tank, I don't know. It's not like I was going 100% either. I was just kind of running a race pace, and it was just nice to kind of stay on the same straightaway as him for that long run, as long as we did. So I feel like if he wasn't playing games, I feel like we made a step forward in trying to gain some time up on him. But again, it's not going to be enough. He's too damn fast. So he put together a great race, even under the circumstances. He had older tires than me there too, and he still just pulled away from me. So it is what it is. We had a great race. I got 18 points now over 3rd. I just have to keep putting these good races together and hope that either Kevin makes a mistake or he gets involved in somebody else's mistake, and that's the only way we're going to be able to capitalize on this.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we look back over the season with 3 wins and 12 top 5s, I think you put yourself in the hunt, Justin. And, this might come down as the final races to who stays out of trouble, because you guys have run so consistently well in the top 5 here that if anybody has one bad race, I think it's going to be difficult for them to climb out of it. And coming out of what you thought was one of your worst racetracks, Texas, Iowa, and Homestead, finish out the season. And if you have 3 solid races and somebody else has some troubles, you could find yourself carrying the championship trophy. So mission accomplished here coming out of Dover. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish. And go ahead and give any shout outs if you want to.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to Texas and Iowa. Homestead is kind of on the fence, but yeah, thanks to you guys for on the broadcast. Thanks to NC811 for sponsoring the series. Thanks to Sim500, all the admins for what they do. Thanks for Trey Edson for always keeping me looking good on the racetrack, and all my teammates at Aftermath Motorsports. Thanks to Units Portable Storages, and hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. I know we're off next week, so we'll see everybody in 2 weeks at the Old Texas Motor Speedway, and see if we can just keep stringing these good runs together, and at least have a good points finish here at the end of the season to make it worthwhile.
There he is, Justin Fuller. Definitely somebody that we all have an eye on for the championship run in Homestead, and he's going to finish 2nd here tonight to Kevin King, who's down in victory lane, and Chris has caught up with him.
Yeah, you heard the points talk going on with you and the 51 there of wow, I just went I've totally just lost my mind on everything all of a sudden here. So we bring Kevin King up here. Justin Fuller, that's his name. As Kevin King joins us, man. Kevin, obviously a race that, once again, obviously you can't predict what's going to happen in a race. It's kind of flipped on you a little bit there mid-race, and you get yourself back on the lead lap and had to fight your way through from the back on older tires to take the lead and to try to go as hard as you can. But tonight, obviously, you still found a way to put yourself back in victory lane again here tonight. Sweep the races at Dover this season and try to stretch that points lead as much as you can, but yet another win.
Yeah, I feel like I ran a good race. Obviously, starting on pole is sometimes good, sometimes not an advantage. Obviously, I lost the lead there pretty quickly, but I was really confident. You know, I did some testing. I told Chad, I said, once I get in the playoffs, like I'm gonna start doing a lot more laps. So did a decent amount of runs to try to figure out what my comfort zone was in terms of like different things I wanted to try with steering and brakes and all that fun stuff, and landed on something that I felt really confident with. 30 laps runs that I did really showcased that what I was doing was good for me. And I just kind of, you know, I let him go and trusted that my long run speed would kick in at some point. It's always kind of been my strength at that track. So I felt like I saw him slip a few different times, and I was like, okay, I haven't felt that on mine. I haven't really gone that hard yet. So let me see if I can make a push for the lead, just to kind of control the restarts if I could at that point. And was able to do that. And, you know, we ran a very long time, which is awesome. And then I think Seth, I don't know, Seth missed the pit lane or something, I don't know what he did, but he had an incident coming to the pits that was right in front of me, which is pretty scary. But thankfully, that next yellow came out really helped me a lot because it, let me pass like 20 cars. So, like I said, in these races, it's not always about being the fastest. You have to have a lot of things go your way, and ultimately, getting my lap back and then getting that extra yellow there to get all that track position back definitely helped me out there.
Well, obviously, yeah, and you took advantage of that, able to get the second restart, get back to the lead, and able to just maintain that margin of 3 seconds here, and you enter Texas Motor Speedway at a 6-point lead over Justin Fuller. And I just happened to look back, and yes, you won that race back in the spring. It's the same old school Texas Motor Speedway, which can be a little tricky because it's not a combo we get to see in real life. But that old Texas still a favorite to a lot of people, and I assume including you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Well, the last couple tracks here that we're racing, this one included, are some of my better tracks. So, I got one of my wins in DWC at Dover. I've got a win at Texas, and I got a win in 2012 to cap off the season at Homestead. So definitely a good track for me. Iowa's another one of my favorites. It races a lot like Richmond to me, so I feel like once I get in a groove there, I'm pretty confident. So yeah, I don't feel like there's any weak tracks for me, which is good. Although if there were, I'm kind of in the mindset now that I'm going to figure it out one way or the other. And thankfully, I have some people that are helping me out. I want to give a shout out to Peter Irons. He's a younger kid that has been racing in RSR. He won his first championship there, and I was able to help him kind of learn some stuff. And I asked him to do some runs this week, and I said, hey, can you just run some laps with this temperature and show me where you're at? Because I felt like he'd be a really good gauge to see if I was driving well. And I was faster than him, which I was like, okay, if I'm faster than Peter, that's a good sign. So it's a good start for the week. But yeah, I'm just gonna, like I said earlier, I'm just gonna go in there. I'm gonna put in the work. I've done too much this season, had too much success to kind of just let it go. So I'm gonna race smart. I'm gonna race hard. I'm gonna prepare and see what happens.
Obviously, a fantastic race for you tonight to be able to pull in the victory lane here at Dover, going into this race at the Texas Motor Speedway, and obviously the 18 wins is promising and good. But obviously, I think the biggest break that happened tonight is it almost split the field, where last week you guys were all within like 8 or 9. And then that caution happened tonight, and it went from everybody being within about 15 points to now it's you and Justin, and then a gap back to third, where it's 24 points now, up to 30 back at 9th place now, which, with those field size, you're almost to the point now where, you can almost start knocking off people now and marking them off your list.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When tracks are this hot, I think it got to like the 120s. The tire strategy gets a little interesting.
Right.
When Brown pit, I was thinking to myself, okay, that's, everyone's going to think that's really early, but that's actually really smart, because we were falling off 2 seconds a lap, I felt like. And, you go out there and you just run that last stint and you split that thing in half. And I'm pretty sure if he didn't speed and it went green all the way, he probably would have won that race, just because he would have gained all that track position by pitting early, because we would have stayed out there another 30 laps. And then once we pit, he was going to pit, 10 laps after that maybe, and then be faster than us again. So his strategy was actually, it's really risky to do that. You got to make sure nothing goes wrong. But I felt like if he didn't have any issues and no yellow came out, he's probably going to win that race. So one of those things I always think about, but I'm like, I do a race within a race, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how far back he was. I'm mainly focused on Justin at this point. He's the closest guy behind me. And I felt like, we could split that race in half and go from there. And at that point, I probably would have had a pretty good gap and saved, I felt like, a good bit, to where if he would have stayed out a couple more laps, I think I would have been okay by the time he caught back up to me. Because I think at that point I would have had, probably like a 15-second lead. Let's say he stays out 10 seconds. He's already 3+ back. 15 seconds is hard to catch unless you have like a lot of tires left. So I felt really good. Like I said, ran a smart race, was really consistent, trying to make any mistakes, and worked out for me. So I'm really, really happy with it.
Well, nice, really nice, and great job. Send some shouts over you like to.
Yeah, shout out to all the guys in the league. Obviously we had 1 yellow or 2 yellows, but definitely hard track. The setup was definitely interesting. So everyone did a really good job of just maintaining, and Dover is always one of those tracks where you can get into people and it collects like 14 others. So everyone did a really good job. So kudos to the drivers, all the admins, you guys as broadcasters. Trying to think, my wife always kind of pushes me. I'll be honest with you, there was a couple of weeks ago where I didn't want to be here anymore. There was some stuff happening. He said, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to go find something else to do on Mondays. And she was like, nope, you're committed. You got to go and do this now. You only have so many races left. Just finish it out. So shout out to her to kind of talking some sense into me when I was getting a little annoyed at some certain things. NC811.org. Like Mark, I haven't shouted them out. I feel so bad. I appreciate all their support. And we'll try to get them at, is it Old Texas, you said?
Old Texas, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to get them at Old Texas and see what happens.
Attaboy. Go get those guns firing off again next week. But hey, man, nice job, well earned, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You too, mate. Kevin King, the winner here tonight, as a well-earned victory again. As I've said it multiple times this season, Kev, that I don't know why I'm calling people different names now. He's got 18 wins, and yes, it sounds like a lot, but it's like different every single week, it seems.
Yeah. I said it during Justin's interview. There could be just one little glitch, because everybody else is so right on top of them. Though when you look at the points, things have changed out a little bit, and unfortunately for a couple of these guys, they dug themselves a hole. Kevin DeBrown 30 points down. Josh Parker 46 down. That's given the strength of the competition insurmountable. This is the race where we talked about you cannot have any mulligans in the championship. For Josh Parker, I don't see how he gets himself out of this. And he was one of the ones we had circled as the potential rival to Kevin King. Justin Fuller did what he had to do. And how about Chad Coleman coming up to that third slot? He and Justin Mons are tied for fourth in the championship. And, you know, that race for second or for third, at this point, Chris, is a flip of the coin. Everybody's within 2 points of each other. 3 points, 4 points.
Yeah, pretty much from third on down, it left almost like it did after last week's race, except a little bit further back on the points lead now, as everybody was, 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points back. Now it's 23, 24, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, all the way down to ninth position. So interesting to see how this all looks out here as we've shown it on the screen. But Fuller only 6 points back as we go to the old Texas Motor Speedway, which could obviously throw some interesting tricks. But the thing about it we get to remember here is next week we're not here. It's 2 weeks from now. So we'll have the Thanksgiving holiday here next week, and we'll be feasting with the families and getting ready for this race, which will come up the Monday after Thanksgiving, which of course will be Cyber Monday for those who have wives who shop a lot, or partners, or whatever. So
package delivery guys.
You're getting this now. It's already been getting a little worky for me lately. So, yeah, we're gonna get to that time period where, Captain here is gonna be doing some work basically. So we're trying to sleep as much as we can. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go do that here. Before we do, Kev, obviously final words, man. Dover, this it turned into the Monster Mile here tonight. It was like that first 80 laps. It was like, we're gonna sit back and wait, and then finally the monster bit, and it seemed to bite the right rear of Seth Foudy and hung it right into the middle of the track, and the caution comes out, and it got interesting from there.
Yeah, I just feel like you never, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get when you come to this racetrack. Over and under, I thought we would have a bunch of cautions as we talked about, and yet it went green all the way through, and still we saw a complex and exciting race, and I can't wait till we get into Texas.
It is going to be a lot of fun. Well, appreciate it, Kev, as always. We will talk here in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Obviously, they're in Jersey. I know a lot of people haven't seen too much of the white stuff here. I know in Cali they got a little bit recently, and I think they got some forecasted here, but we'll see what happens. But that looks like the weather going to be interesting come next Thursday. We'll see how that all works out when that time gets here. But obviously, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yep, and same to everyone else. Enjoy the holiday, be safe, and we'll see you when we pull into Texas. And good catching up with you, Chris.
Absolutely, as always. And no to the rumors. There is no Kevin England float at the Macy's Parade, okay? Sorry to disappoint everybody.
Not this year.
So, all right, let's head out. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. Obviously, big shout out to NC811 for sponsoring the Cup Series, as per usual in all Sim500 these last few years. All the viewers hanging out, as per always on this Monday night. The racers, a great race. And, to Kevin, obviously, for coming on board and helping us out. And we're going to head out. And tomorrow night, we're back with another race at 8:30, and should be an interesting one. So make sure you, if you get a chance, come check out the stream. And I know that on the Sim500 side, they're running super late models tomorrow night. So make sure you check out the race here. I know I believe that race is streamed somewhere. I just don't know where, unfortunately. But make sure you check out sim500.com. You can get details on where it's streamed at and catch the super late models in action tomorrow night. So should be fun there. All right, let's head out. Remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain eSports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation.
From the Captain eSports Network.